Welcome to War of Words, presented by Habari Entertainment. I'm Aisha. I'll be your moderator. Each topic will take 15 minutes. So let's get started. First, with our introduction of our debaters. We have Dip,
Mm-hmm.
Tusso.
Wrong. That's him.
She showed it. Look at him.
Y'all swap spots this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
So
Oh,
We had to switch it up a little
She
bit.
can't go by the faces, just the seats.
I go by what I go by.
It's cool. It's cool. It's iceberg.
And we have Jamil.
Jamel.
Jamil.
Everybody, yeah, I sure wanted to call you Jamel. Well, Jamel. Now we know. This is third time we've changed it up on him, right? But hey,
Hey, they do it to Tussle all the time.
yeah, man.
We don't know who this dude is.
Call Tuso. That's the name.
Right.
Tuso.
They didn't change my name.
First topic of the day, we will be discussing Snoop's comments about the song WAP.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Dip, let's start with you since I think you have the strongest opinions on this one.
Do you?
She been hearing you all week.
Right. She's like, I heard it when the song came out.
Well, I mean, let's make sure we have it clear what Snoop Dogg said.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said that that should be a woman's pride and possession. He continued on Central Ave about the meaning behind WAP, which stands for wet ass pussy. That's your jewel of the now. That's what you should hold on to. That should be a possession that no one gets to know about until they know about it. So Snoop is pretty much saying that women should keep something hidden. You know, it shouldn't be all out there like that. And the backlash was, Snoop, who did a lot of, gangster rap and, and have women on dog collars and leashes back when he was younger. So the backlash was, you know what I'm saying?
He even
didn't
had his
a
own
problem,
little
right.
porn company for a minute.
But
didn't he?
I also say for a minute, and also too, that
He did.
there's a place for that's not porn though, bro. You know what I mean? This song is not porn.
Oh, I'm just saying, who is Snoop to actually say that though? That's my point.
That's what they were saying too. But I think that he's an older gentleman now. He's 50. He's not gonna have the same outlook on life as he did at 20.
I do agree.
So he at 50 years old, he's like, now, hey, I've seen what happened to the girls who out there throwing that WAP. We see what they look like at 50. So
Like Lisa Ray.
right.
Ooh.
So I mean, like he said, back when he was young, he would be bumping it and he would be with it. He said that. He knew when he was young, but now he's older. He knows it's a better way, and it should be more that we should be holding
Do you
it
think
toward.
his mind would have changed had he not had a daughter?
Yeah, and that was a big one too, that he had a daughter. I think I don't have a daughter, and my mind's changed on things like that. You know what I mean? I look back at the music that I listened to at that time. You know what I mean? And I bump nothing but kill him up, shoot him up, bang him up. And now I look at it like that shit's ridiculous. We need to go a different direction. So I understand it changing. Whatever change your mind. But
He was just killing niggas and bitches and hoes on his last album.
on his last album,
Yeah.
You talking about the gospel joint?
Crippin' and he put out 2 records since then.
I show like last album I knew was the gospel. So
He got one called Never Left, and the whole point of it is I'm still crippin'.
I'm still Crip. But at the same time,
I think that's what it is. First and foremost, as a dude, I don't feel like we really should be projecting our opinions and
on women,
because that's not us. It's not our body. It's like they have their whole little thing where they're trying to embrace their sexuality, their individualism, and like as a human being, not even as a man, as a human being, you got to respect that.
yeah.
But as Snoop, like he's done so much, like it's almost hypocritical. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of created the generation that the strip club, you know what I'm saying? Like this whole perspective that we have of the 90s and early 2000s of how women were looked at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now that you've got all your money and now that you're out, like to turn around and to talk down is kind of bogus. But at the same time, like my personal feelings, because like I said, I did say that as a man, I shouldn't have feelings. But
Right.
when it comes on the radio, I can't lie that when it first came out, like kind of did make my skin crawl because
Right.
like at the same like we have this view of what a woman should be. You know what I'm saying? It's like growing up in like down south, like I'm from Houston, like a Christian home. Like you have this perception of what a woman should be,
Right.
and like what is acceptable in public, what is attractive,
Right.
That's a societal issue, like what we find attractive. And what is also like, because it's kind of taboo, you know what I'm saying? Like what they're saying is not something that you would usually hear coming from what we would think of as a lady. You know what I'm saying?
But we've heard over the years, since hip hop has been established, a million dick songs.
And a million dicks going in wet ass pussy from the
Right.
nigga's point of view. So
Right.
who are we to,
I mean, we have heard a million dick songs.
This is very, very true. Like we could think of a whole bunch.
I know a song I can think of, and it's like my dick did this, your dick
But
was
no, it's not.
massaged
It's
by
not.
your
It's
uncle.
not necessarily something like because we wait.
I was
What?
like,
No,
what-
wait.
What song was that?
Is that a country song?
No, this is a hip hop song. my homegirl used to pump it all the time. She was like, it's just a whole bunch of bars about my
Like, we
dick
had- remember-
and this other dude's dick, and the other dude's dick is always some crazy shit like being massaged by the uncle and shit like that.
Whoa.
It's a
Yeah.
crazy song, man.
It must be
Pause.
a dubstep song.
See,
Hey.
the thing that kills me with men in hip hop is that, like, we've been pussies and hoes and bitches and everything else.
We had the whole
And this
Queensbridge
whole
song.
time-
Put it in your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And whenever you get these rappers and you're like, bro, you've been talking about disrespecting women. The first thing they say is, well, it's my reality. I'm not talking about these women.
Right.
I'm talking about these women that
Right.
be at the club. So these women who be at the club, who you've been claiming have been doing all of this stuff, finally made a song from women at the club's point of view.
Right.
Who are we to if it's supposed to be reality, that's a reality. The whole time I was getting whatever I was doing in my song, I was giving it to somebody. Why can't she put a song out from her point of view?
Yeah.
I think for men, it's like men in society are always supposed to be like the hunter, the aggressor, like, you know, the whole patriarch thing that we got set up. So for a man, yeah, a man can think this about a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like in his mind, I'm not saying that it's correct or it's right. A man in his mind, he could be thinking, looking at the club, looking at this woman like, oh, I can't wait to get her back to the house to do this, that, and the third. The second she walks up and be like, I'm about to take you back to the house and do this, that, and the third. He's like, ooh, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, like, we know what type of lady we want.
Right.
But she just can't come aggressive
So,
like that. You know
the
what I'm saying?
song-
Like, it takes us back a little bit, like, wait a minute. I had this lady image of you in my head. Now that you're super sexual and super aggressive, it might turn some people off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I don't understand why we trip off that type of things. But I think to
it's
me,
society, though.
I think the most important thing is this: men who come out with songs like this, "My Dick," and come out with songs about stripping and talking about women and hoes and Too Short, they don't want respect. They're not asking you to respect them. They want to be looked at as pimps and and what they are.
Right.
Women want to do these things, talk about my wet ass pussy, wear their ass everywhere, shaking it, and they want respect. They don't want to be treated as a piece of meat. You can't have them both.
That does
and that's
confuse me.
that is the part that gets everybody
Yeah,
confused.
that confuses me.
You want to shake your ass.
Like the whole
How are
movement
you
with
not gonna
Amber
be a
Rose.
piece of- right.
Like, it is so confusing that
I'm confused.
to claim your individualism, to claim your independence, that you have to go out there and take your clothes off.
Right.
Like,
Can we hear this?
don't look at me like, don't, yeah, because like, I, like
Y'all
again,
don't
because,
want to hear my perspective.
But
I
if-
just tell it like it is.
but I think
Put
like
the fucking clothes on.
the man's point of view is also like, because at the same time, they're like, it's almost as they're looking at us and they want us to still find them attractive.
Right.
They don't want us to look at them in an adverse way, but still they understand the point that they're actually going out there to
Right.
get a rise out of people. Like, so like you're doing this to actually stimulate a response.
Right.
But then when you get a response, you're like, the response that I'm getting is not the response that
Just
I
like
asked
with,
for,
with
and
Shaq.
it's wrong.
Watching the girl, Megan, the Stallion, and he said, "Ooh, I'm watching that ass," and everybody was pissed at Shaq. Oh, his old ass. That's all she does is shake
Like,
her ass on the
like-
screen. But-
Like that
and
WAP
people
video,
were
the
mad
thing
at
for me with the WAP video is like, it was extra. It wasn't just what they were saying. Like the video itself, the visual. You actually had like golden titties on the wall pouring out milk. I think that was milk. I mean, whatever it was.
That video straight up looked like a porno.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was like, it looked. That was worse than that Kanye video he put out with, what was his name? Lil Perp, Smoke Perp, when he did that thing
square with the box.
Yeah, when they did the thing for Pornhub or whatever they did, that was a video for Pornhub, and that was less aggressive than the WAP video.
Right.
And if you're doing this as a form of independence and I'm claiming my femininity, like, there has to be a different way.
Right.
Like, you're asking me not to Google you, like, and Google you, whatever the word is, not to look at you like all, there you go, all star-eyed and like, oh my God, and drooling at the mouth, but at the same time, you have no clothes on. Every shoot, every scene is, I'm looking at your assets.
Right. But
that was the first time I had ever seen Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion in a video, because I just don't. It's been years since I haven't really paid attention to hip hop, and then women in hip hop are not only so far in between, but lately they've all been like on this, and it's just not what I'm
strip
into.
Hop, right?
So when this came out, I was like, let me check them out, and I'm like, God, how could you not like? I don't see you as anything other than like, I don't even want you. I want to sell you.
Right.
Like, I don't even when I look at that, I'm like, man, I wish I was a pimp. I have
right.
You know, I'm not even my concept of looking at it is you're a product now.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear so many people talk about like Megan's, like her education, and
they
like
attack me online,
like how she does so much.
Right.
Where is it?
But that
doesn't
like,
talk about it.
It's almost erased.
It doesn't
when you come
matter.
out like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what's highlighted on her.
Right. That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's what they were telling me.
I got body, yada, 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 yada.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing about her, Megan's persona or character says smart or educated.
And that's what I'm saying. They attack me online. They
and I know
about
that's
she
wrong.
does a lot for her community. She's smart. She graduated. I'm like, dude, what the fuck does it have to do with what we're talking about? She was shaking her ass, and Shaq said, I like what I see.
They attacking us for saying that about Meg. But when Lil Wayne went to college and we said, why don't you sound like you in college? No one attacked us. Plies has a degree.
Right.
When we ask like, Plies, come on, we know you don't really say bike. No one says it.
Bike.
2 Chainz has a degree.
Right.
When we challenge the men to, hey, bro, you more intelligent than that.
Right.
Sound like
right.
Everybody agrees with us.
But when it's when the women
we do it to the women, nah, it's
they piss.
Nah, like,
this is not new though, because if you remember, we did have My Neck, My Back. Like, there was been we had Little Kim, we did have Foxy Brown.
Yeah, Foxy Brown.
That girl,
so
my neck, my back looked like Trizanarbic.
But these songs, to me, the difference between them when they sold sexuality
and
is
Adina
because
Howard.
they were not the #1 songs in the country.
Adina Howard.
She was not the #1 song in the country.
Trina.
The #1 song in the country.
You know, Nan Nigga was probably the #1 song for a minute.
Whatchamacallit reached
#1 song in hip hop.
Freak
maybe.
Like Me.
Yeah. #1 song.
Freak Like Me was up there.
Nah, man, not like that.
Freak Like
we
Me
didn't
was
hearing
up
white
there.
girls singing it like we do now. Like, it's
T-shirt and panties.
But
to me, hip hop has been elevated to pop music now.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
At that time, hip hop was not pop music like it is now. It is the trending music.
Yeah.
It's #1 is hip hop. Yeah. That song was being played at marches, Black Lives Matters marches. That song was played when the President Biden won. They listened to that, and that's what they were singing to celebrate.
That was bogus, and that's
and it was little kids. They out there wet ass pussy. I'm like, man.
Well, we know they be pandering on the left anyway, so
it's like this. But though,
hot dog in my bag swag.
But the thing is though, this. My mother would have smacked the shit out of me, and I could not listen to my Luke songs and Too Short songs around my OG. The difference now, they can bump that with
on
their
the
mom,
radio. No, it's on the radio.
And they're twerking with mom. Mom twerks with them, and it's just a different. It's just
like
a whole
they talk
different...
about that Snoop Dogg song. Which one is it? I can't remember the name right now, but it's pretty much on the same level. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like he was vulgar,
like it's hot.
Right?
But it
sexual seduction.
No, the older one back with the dog pound. But that never really reached the radio.
Right.
It ain't
like
no fun if the homies came.
Oh, there we go.
That one.
And if it was,
Like,
it was so chopped up.
And everybody always brings that up. Like, well, Snoop had If the Homies Can't Have None. Okay, but that wasn't on the radio like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was.
The album.
Yeah, you
Right.
had to go get your
Purchase the
uncle had the album
Right.
and you got in the car and you accidentally heard it
Right.
and he skipped it. You
Right.
know what I'm
And he's
saying?
like, oh shit, you don't need to be hearing
Yeah,
this.
you don't need to be hearing that
Like
young blood.
it's not even like don't even try no more. Like
But
I don't care when we
when I
grew
heard
up,
WAP on the radio-
they at least tried to keep it away from us. It's
Like
not
when I
even-
heard it on the radio, it really was like, yeah, they're doing way too much. And like as
And
an
the
artist,
edit
like
was worse.
Yeah.
Wet and gushy.
like as an artist, like I think there should be a smidgen of personal responsibility. Like I think back then record labels was like, no, we're not dropping that as the number one single. We can't drop
Right.
that as a single
Right.
at all because stations are gonna get fined.
Right.
And now like
It's gone.
COVID and everything, nobody like all rules are out
There's
the window.
no rules when it comes to that
And-
anymore.
At that point, it should have fell back to the artist and be like, this is not the song
Well, I think
that we need to be
that's
pushing.
why
as
she didn't
the
want
single.
it. She didn't want it on the Grammys because she knew that it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then she won Woman of the Year because of this fucking song. Like it's like I'm not trying to hate on her. I love what she's doing. I love her music, man. I don't listen to it, but I love that people are doing it and she's being successful. You can't take that away from her. But we have to admit that this is all sex, and it's all that we're doing is selling sex and purchasing sex, and she is the person of the year for selling sex.
She
Well,
didn't
then
start
that's
it though.
Our problem, because the number one purchaser of sex is men.
Yep.
True.
That's our issue. If she's selling sex, she's selling it to us.
But we're not
You
the
can't-
number one buyer of her albums right
hey,
now, though.
Hey, I wouldn't have sold dope if nobody was smoking it.
And for sure. For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
No, sex sales.
So
It's not
But
a
it's not.
question.
She's not the start of it.
she's not
Like
No, hell
this
no.
is this has been the
No.
the business
It's
plan
just-
on the female
It's
side
just the
of hip hop.
elevation of it is what is.
You can't actually say that it's been elevated. We had
I
Little
think
Kim.
it's been elevated.
Little Kim had her stomach pumped. Like I don't know if that was
Little
an urban
Kim-
legend when we were younger or whatever.
That
Like
was just-
Little Kim never had a number one
She was in
album.
a whole relationship with Biggie. When did she have time to do all that?
Right. She never had a number one album. Ever.
but she was the
She
biggest.
never had a
she
number
was
one
the
single.
biggest female out at the time.
Definitely, but
She
she
did
was
have a
never,
number one single, even though if it was attached to Biggie. But yes,
I don't think she had a number one anything.
All right, fellas. So let's move on. Next topic.
Number one titty hanging out.
Why are there so few black atheists in the community?
Oh yeah, I want to say this real fast before we go on. Hold on. I can't even find it no more.
you was about to give us a percentage.
Down.
Use some dick lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what? That didn't even sound right.
Pause. Pause. Don't give me
Pineapples.
nothing that starts with dick.
The song is by Mickey Aveline, and that's that dick song I was talking about. Oh, my dick does rumble in the jungle. Your dick was molested by your uncle. That's the lyrics.
Mickey Avalon.
So Mickey Aveline is the song, man.
Is that a dude?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. But yeah, man, like I
no
said,
dude should make songs.
it's
talk
the
about
songs that
dick.
we can do. How many songs have we done about
another nigga
about
dick.
dick?
Nah, you shouldn't. Nah, you should not be making songs about other people's penises.
Yeah, that is all.
The peni.
But yeah, anyway, next story.
Y'all finna agree on this comment.
Yeah,
On this
Yeah,
topic.
man.
yeah.
Dude
On
is
this
ex-
next topic, we finna
Dude is
agree.
extra, man.
I don't know if we disagree.
I think we
No.
finna still
Why are
agree.
there
Yeah.
so few black atheists in the community?
Because we're sheep.
I knew it.
I got a better one. Because religion relies on a lack of education. It relies on you to not question and not see. And you.
Yep.
So things are spread in a community that doesn't tout education. I.e., we just named 4 or 5 artists who are educated, and we don't bring it
And-
up
and
until
do not
it's a
talk about
counter
it.
argument.
Right.
We don't even talk
Or
about
you wouldn't
it.
even know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know about a subject matter or
And-
anything
and-
else. And so in a community that is going to lack education, you're going to be able to predate them on the concept of religion when religion in a lot of ways relies on you to be a victim of something that you can't explain. And you can't explain it because you ain't got no education.
That's real.
And
And believe it or not, the
cyclical.
more educated you are, the more chances you will be an atheist.
People totally agree with that.
I do.
There's the saying that
That's
the greatest
statistically
enemy of
proven.
faith is knowledge. I do agree with the point that the more you know, the less you start to rely on
Mm-hmm.
the foundation of religion. But the whole argument to me with the whole science versus religion, I actually, in my personal view, I think actually science, like to me, affirms God.
Confirms it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like
we
it-
don't teach
like-
it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you actually get into the knowledge of the concept of what God is actually supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
Metaphysics.
yeah, when you start to get into that side of the science,
Right.
it actually reaffirms the whole outer deity, greater deity ideal, as opposed to what most people think. Like if you actually get down, like the percentage, like just the existence of a human civilization.
Mm-hmm.
If you go by just chance, the probability is like 0.00000001.
The chance of there being a human
Life.
civilization? Right.
Like there even being life, the amount of controlled and
Mm-hmm.
uncontrolled variables it takes to actually create life is damn near impossible. No, yes. You can't even argue. That's science.
But the science is also a bunch of mistakes that just happenstance that come together. And
Are
that's
they
all-
mistakes though?
That's all life
That's
is.
the mind of an atheist would think that those are mistakes.
That's evolution, not science.
Well, isn't evolution a part of science, right?
But you think evolution is
Science
mistakes?
Is the study of evolution, but evolution is
I
not
think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I
It's
think
the
that
science is
evo-
actually the study. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's a mistake. Well, I mean, a mutation would be called a mistake, right? So if something mutates,
So you
then
have
that-
all these specific dominoes that fall in order to create certain different aspects and certain different circumstances. You can't even consider those mistakes anymore. Again, like controlled
all
and uncontrolled
happenstance.
variables.
It
If I
it
do this to
happened
this,
happen.
this will happen. If I do this to this and I change the temperature by 5%, this will happen in the
But-
evolution of this
right.
thing. Those
But
aren't
no
mistakes.
one-
These are actually keys that you can actually.
No one knocked those dominoes over to make those things happen. Is that
That's
what
what
I'm
an
saying?
atheist is saying.
Right.
But if you actually use science to the other side, these are actually the
prove it.
arguments they're saying that these things are not happenstance and these things these things are damn near impossible to happen by themselves without an
No one
outer
can
energy.
make these things happen is the way the explanation I take it as. I take it as no one can make these things happen. These things just happen to happen.
I think
There's no way to be able to form these things. It just came together.
the atheist view of what a creator is, or what the creator is, comes from a human point of view.
Right.
God is not human. God is not even of this world, so to speak. Think God is just power.
Energy.
The definition of God is power and energy. So if we're talking about just energy, and then versus like things that are created were created by things that are unseen,
Right.
and you check into metaphysics and you find out that atoms just pop out of the world and no one knows what's creating them, but they just pop into reality.
Right.
It almost sounds like science is confirming what the Bible said 3,000 years ago.
But the Bible doesn't really say these things, though.
That was a quote.
The Bible, to me,
You
the
can line the Bible up
makes
with
a
different
human
type of teachings, the
God.
esoteric teachings, than the Hindu teachings. If you actually line those up, like if you go into the metaphysical teachings of energy, the power of the law of attraction, if you like, that's pretty much what the Bible is telling you: how to protect your energy, how to actually control your vibration.
Which Bible?
The Bible, the same Bible that everybody reads, the King
Bible.
James.
Yes.
But once you
See,
actually,
I was just about to go there because there are many versions, so you gotta be specific.
but most of
But
them,
they
like
all
the
say the same
underlining,
thing.
the
New
underlining
Testament-
message is actually about
all
the
say the
energy.
same.
The New Testament talks about
We-
Jesus too much to be to
It's that,
to-
but
to
you're
talk to-
focusing on that. You're not focusing on the
but
actual lessons.
when you start bringing in human life and things that
The New
happen in a
Testament
human
only
life,
speaks about Jesus for 5 books.
that's enough though to make people change their
There
lives
are
and they're thinking
32
of what they're
books in the New
how they he is Jesus the most known person out of the Bible. God isn't even some people think that Jesus is who we worship. A lot of people think that.
that was done purposely.
Right. So it's the mixture of who Jesus and who God is something that the regular person who is a religious person probably don't even know the difference between.
Jesus is God.
See, that's what I'm saying.
What?
Jesus is God. How
That's
can-
what I'm saying. But Jesus
is
was
God.
supposed to be
the
human.
Holy
See, that-
Trinity, aren't
Yeah,
there supposed
there's-
to be 3 of them?
How did Jesus,
Whoa.
while on the cross, pray to himself and ask himself,
Right,
"Why did
exactly.
I forsake
Because
myself?"
There is a
Right.
word called manifestation. The Trinity doesn't even exist. It came up 1,000 years ago by a man named Constantine. Up until Constantine said the word Trinity, it was never used. The word Trinity does not show up in
But
the Bible
Constantine
at all.
is a pagan.
So
How did Jesus pray to himself?
What do you mean? How did Jesus pray to himself?
Jesus asked himself, Father, why did you forsake me? If Jesus is the Father, who was he praying to?
Who was the Son? Right.
Christ was a different manifestation of God. Period. The same way that
Still, why was he talking to himself?
because God follows his. I gotta explain it now.
Yeah, because he was talking to himself.
No, listen,
he
listen.
looked to the sky while dying and asked, why did he kill himself?
God looks over his word, seeking to perform it. God spoke and things happened. It had to be spoke in order for it to happen.
So you're saying that Jesus was God in human form?
Yes. The same way that God was a cloud that guided the children of Israel out of the a cloud by day and something by night. The same way God was a hand that closed Noah's ark. The same way at one point God appeared to Moses as just a back. The same way that God appeared as angels and told people to go different ways in different ways.
None of those situations was he talking to himself.
Right.
And
how many years?
That's not true, because when God appeared as an angel, he talked to himself. And then at one point he talked to the person, and then at one point the person was just talking to him.
And this
the
is
whole
why
conversation.
this is why I'm an atheist, dog.
Hey, while hearing it, I was like, I can kind of see why they be over there like, I don't really pick up with all that.
Man,
but that's
dude,
not what I'm saying. I'm just saying how I can see how atheists could be
shit.
confused by all this.
Yeah, it's
But I'm
confusing.
just saying that there's an argument that God, it's not that Jesus is supposed to be like 100% man, 100% deity. So God is Jesus is God manifested in flesh. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. God spoke the Word. God spoke himself. Nothing can be performed without energy, so to speak. So the energy spoke the energy and sent the energy to do the energetic thing, right? And then at some point in time, some piece of energy, which came from the original energy, let me say it like people say it, wrapped itself in flesh and had an earthly experience.
Wow.
And in its earthly experience, it did everything that a human would do.
Wow.
And a human would have prayed to God.
But you want to say something. The people who created God and the whole aspect of God do not believe in Jesus.
That is a crazy statement. Who are the people who created God?
Well, the Jews.
That's not a true statement.
True.
Because the
Jews are they were the original.
God came before then. And if you actually look at most religions actually only attribute to one God. There's one All-Father in every single religion.
That's not true.
There is. And
every
if you start
religion
comparing
has a
names,
different God.
if you start comparing names between the religions, all the names line up. They like Zeus and Zeus's wife goes to Asherah, who's actually been attributed to being the Christian's God's wife.
Every society has a different God.
No, they all come from the same one. That's the confusing thing about it.
But the Aztecs had a different God. Everyone had a different.
But they're still an All-Father.
A senior father, like a senior.
Right,
There was
right.
always
Yes,
the All-Father.
they are-
There was always a hierarchy.
Where does Saint Mary come in?
Mary, that's because of pagans.
She
That's
was
the
pretty
pagans.
much touched. She was supposed to be blessed, and she was like almost like a saint.
Right, that's the pagan.
No, she was a saint.
Catholics pray to everybody. Catholics pray to Saint Peter, Saint
Yeah,
Paul.
they do.
They got the Peter.
But that comes from the Romans.
That's the Romans, which is the pagans.
But
right.
if you
Don't
think
bring up
about the Catholics, most of those saints are actually attributed to lower gods of the Roman of the Roman hierarchy.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. In most of these religions, if you go across all these religions, you can find the hierarchy. You can find the All-Father. You can find a lower god whose name is many different names across many different cultures. It's just that the way it was separated, like I think it really goes back to Bible. Like my whole knowledge of religion is it was separated at one point in time. None of us have the complete knowledge that we're supposed to have.
It's been put together by
and now
all
that
these
we're
people.
what we go off is we go off of bits and pieces of the true knowledge.
And see, that's
so
what-
we'll always be lost because we never have complete
We were
knowledge. And the
lost
fact that some
when we
people use it as a
first
weapon.
found the scrolls that we read and try to translate.
But
the problem
it's
is
like you
the
keep attributing
translation.
all religion and all gods to Christianity.
Because that is the largest
But-
religion there is, though,
But
right?
atheism is not just against Christianity, though.
against everybody.
It's against everybody.
I'm against all of them, but the one that's contributed the most to my life is Christianity. But if I respect other religions more. Buddhism, I respect that religion more. They don't really believe in one deity. It's more of a thought pattern or a way of living.
That's a
and
more
and
esoteric
I like that more because it makes more fucking sense than this. A million different stories from a million different religions. No matter where you go to and who you go to, what story you're going to get from it. And we've learned that it's all about translation. And like
That's what I said. The telephone game will be learned in like kindergarten.
Wherever
you
by the time it gets back around, it's going to be different.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And that's
the million different stories thing is why I would lean more toward Christianity, because the Quran was written by one person.
but the
All
Quran-
those other books were written by one person. The Bible was written by 50 different people at different time frames who some didn't even know each other, but yet we're saying the same
Muhammad,
thing.
though,
They
was-
had the
he was
same
a-
publisher, though.
Muhammad was a
They had the
So
same
John
publisher,
just
and
took-
I do not know
John
that
took the
publisher's
first 5
intent.
years and said,
That
hey,
is true.
You know what I'm
I'ma
saying?
write these
Like that's been my
books,
biggest
pass
thing
it
with
on to people.
Christianity was the Council of Nicaea. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole
What happened at the Council of Nicaea?
the picking of the picking and choosing of by man to decide what stayed and,
and
what
what,
that's
left.
not
what was
what happened at the
removed
They didn't.
from
They
the
didn't
Bible.
vote. They didn't vote on.
No, they didn't. The Apocrypha thing happened after that, and when they read and studied in the so-called people who know everything,
I know you.
people who study, the smart people who study the Bible a lot. That happened after Nicaea was where they had the argument, because some people said Christ was God and some people said Christ wasn't. Nicaea was where they had the argument to determine, do we call Christ a deity or not?
And, see,
And
the
they
Jews,
left there not knowing.
So
it
they
because
didn't.
some people
So
still
they
don't
didn't
follow
need.
it.
They didn't
100%.
need the Council of Nicaea with any new canon.
No.
I'm.
Look it up. There's so
I must
many.
have read wrong.
There's so many different.
I'll give it to you.
There's so many different like lies about what happened at the Council of Nicaea. There's so much like mistelling.
That's my.
This
But
is
even
between
that. Even the.
this is
Even the fact that
Catholics
man
and
sat
and
there.
the pagans, right? That made these decisions, right?
the who.
The Catholics and the pagans.
They
And
were
that's-
really
and that-
Catholics
and
at
that's-
the time.
It
was like
what
the-
would become the
yeah,
Catholics.
it was who was
Right.
becoming the Catholics, but they were.
pre-Catholics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and what kind of separated the two was who caused God, who would, because they were supposed to come out of there saying, look, y'all say Jesus is one, y'all say God is one, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are all three. We say they're three separate beings who act as one.
Okay.
Which one is it? That was what the council was for.
Okay.
But
It didn't
again,
happen that way. You know what I'm
man
saying?
making that decision.
Well, all these decisions have been made by man.
It really wasn't man making a decision. It was man having a conversation. What do we believe? Why is it so
But
bad?
shouldn't- but
why
if-
is it so bad that we can't?
But
come
if your
together as a
belief,
body and decide
your
what
belief
we
should be
actually
set in
believe?
stone. It shouldn't be something that's
How
liquid
would-
that you can be able to
then if
move
if-
around as
if-
you.
If that's the case, then faith would be flawed. The fact that you have learned faith from multiple different
That's
people,
science, bro.
The fact that you've learned
Science and theology,
proves
those things,
religion.
right.
We said
just
that. We
said
started
that
You
argument.
have
Science-
To be, you have to be able to question.
Religion
what
should be
someone
set in
said.
stone.
No, it should.
It should not be fluid.
No,
it should not something that's changing. How can it be? How can it change?
It's not about it's changing. It's about, I understand that this man said this at this time. What did he mean? What was the context? What was all of this? It's about study. The
It's
same
about
way that
understanding.
science is about study and understanding.
like the
They
supreme
prove each
science is
other.
like the
But
same thing that goes to.
But that's more an opinion. You cannot factual religion because you cannot factually say what this person meant or
You
didn't
can-
mean.
you-
You cannot
there's
prove exactly what
the
he meant in those
exact same way that
situations.
you can come up with a scientific hypothesis and run a scientific hypothesis.
Scientific
you can do
process.
that in
Right,
the
but
exact
that
same
is
scientific
you can
process.
prove theories. You can't prove what this person thought or didn't thought that's been dead for 10,000 years. That's what I'm saying.
You really
so
can't prove theories.
you can prove scientific
Why
theory
haven't we proven the theory of the freaking Big Bang?
because there's no way to
Actually,
to
they're
remake
getting, no,
that theory.
Actually, yes, that's when it gets into the God particle and the dark matter.
Yeah.
Like when I said, when we started talking
But
about
there's no
science,
way-
when we start to compare science and religion, it actually
But it's
like
still
there
a theory,
are
though, bro.
They
That's
start
still a
mentioning-
theory, though.
dark matter.
That's still a theory.
No, dark matter's not a theory anymore.
I'm
sorry.
saying the theory of how it created the Big Bang. That all
They've
is still a
split.
theory.
They've been splitting atoms at the
it's
CERN
still a
thing
theory,
they
though,
got
bro.
in Switzerland right
it's
now.
not a fact. Big Bang theory is still a theory. It's not a fact.
I
That's the
think
point.
the Big Bang
Not-
theory is something
90%
totally anyway.
90% of science is theoretical, and then most of science's rules have a but.
right.
There's nothing set in stone, even in
Right.
science.
But
Mammals are
religion-
supposed to be hairy, give birth to babies.
Yeah, and then we
Right,
have
until
we
you
have
get a platypus.
Right.
You
we
know what
have
I'm
some
saying?
some
So-
that bend the rules.
Right, there's
definitely.
something that bends the rule everywhere.
But religion is it puts on a coat to say that it's set in stone. When you read everything it says is these words are said, these are what is said. this is the truth. That's how the Bible comes off. It doesn't come off as you can learn something more or change your mind. It doesn't come off that way.
This is why I had the point that religion, not faith, not a relationship.
See what I'm saying? How can you have faith in something if you're always thinking that it's going to change?
Religion is a dogmatic set of rules.
And they don't
That's
really
not what
change.
faith is. It doesn't. So what has happened is religion has said that this has to be and this has to be and this has to be.
They
But
deal in
that's not
absolute.
it.
Science does not believe.
No one told them to deal in absolutes. They dealt in absolutes to control stupid people, which was the point of this conversation.
Right.
So there is a separation between what the religious concept of Christianity and Muslim and all these other faiths are and what the actual faith is that they follow.
And the institution, you know what I'm saying?
The institution is different
like,
than the theory.
we cannot actually confuse the institution of religion with actual faith. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you're saying is, like, you keep attacking the institution of religion, the foundation, like how everything is structured to create sheeples and people to follow. There are people who don't go to church, but who are very faithful people who believe in God, and they read their Bible every day.
Right.
And to them, the Bible has not changed. The word is the word. That word is the same word that when they first picked the Bible up when they were 5.
Right.
The teachings are the same teachings. The lessons that they've learned, the feelings that it has given them, and the type of person that it has made still remains. So that part doesn't change. Like, what has changed is the way that the institution itself and certain individuals have started to use religion to actually manipulate the masses.
Right.
So you can't actually be mad at religion. You can't even be mad at God about that. You have to be mad at man.
Especially when God told you they was going to do it.
Right.
Man
Like,
created religion.
All right, fellas.
So,
But religion's been here since the beginning of time.
We're just
man
gonna leave
also
it right
created
there.
science.
that's it.
He said man created science.
Yeah, but
Man did.
we didn't create science. We found science.
Like we found religion.
Religion was created. Science was found.
I don't know. Dogons had their own religion, and they was one of the first tribes, and there was no institution set up, and they weren't told to follow anything. They just knew.
Man, it's
What
a tough
about the
one, bro.
Indians, the natives? Every single one of them have
But
had
they
many
believe
sky
I
gods.
like their religious thought patterns way more than the
But who gave it to them?
European.
Are you
and,
saying
and
man
Middle
gave it to
Eastern
them too?
religions? No, man. Man came up with it. They thought of these things, definitely. And as they read more, we realized we didn't need sun gods anymore. So now the God is inside of us.
They didn't.
Let
They
me
didn't.
ask
They
you
didn't
this.
decide that they didn't need sun gods.
We
The
stopped
white
praying
man
to
does
them.
no.
White
The
men
white
took
man
sun
made
gods
their
from
ass
them.
stop praying to the
Well,
sun god.
See,
At
the
the same-
thing is this: if you are this little tribe of people and you believe that God is trees and rocks and everything else, but then you believe that at the same time that this other people could believe that God is another tree or another rock or another animal or another thing or another that. My question is, your God, how is your God so limited? If your God is supposed to be the creator and everything else, how come you don't believe that your God can create everything? If you believe that your God is a power over everything, how come you're so comfortable with your God just being a God of your people? If your God is truly the creator, then your God is truly the creator.
Right.
At some point in time, somebody's God had to be the supreme God,
And
Well-
why do they say the God of all gods? The King of
Well,
Lord of all lords. King
we
of
will-
kings.
There were
Yes.
others. There was others.
right. We will leave it here. But
Others.
I'll put my last word in as saying that I believe the reason why we are not many atheists is because of just not having that education. I do think that's a big part of it. I do think that if we the more people look outside of the box, I think people will start looking outside of religion. I just don't think that it's taken us anywhere, and it hasn't done anything for us as a people to help us. We found that out last week. So I mean, it's just, what is it taking us? And that's my thing, and I just don't think it's taking us anywhere at all. But that's me. That's what I think. But that's the what's the show? War of Words this week, and next week we'll go into another one. I think we're gonna take a break next week, so the week after next.
Come back for the new year.
For sure.
Back with the new year.
I appreciate you, gentlemen, and love the discussions, and we'll get back into it
Indubitably.
for sure.